Welcome to English 4E. This is class 26, term 1B. Today we are looking at assignments K30 and K31, and it's the beginning of Unit 3. I am Jillian Percy, and here are all the ways you can contact us. I am in the studio right now, and the number here is 1-800-465-7144. The office phone number is 1-800-667-3703. Extension 2211. I'll be here for a little while after the show, and I'll, of course, be in here tomorrow during my office hours. My email is jillian.percy@nnec.on.ca or jillian.percy@nnecschools.org. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, capital G, capital P, ERCY, space, capital W, AHSA. If you are making a friend request there, I just ask if you can send me a message at the same time. It just seems to work a little better. Facebook is supposed to notify me when I get a friend request, but sometimes it doesn't seem to work right. It's a little bit glitchy. But if you send a message, I always get that. There are two different YouTube channels associated with this class. One is my teacher channel, which is also called G. Percy WASA, and that has all the classes that I've taught this year and last year. There's also the school channel called the WASA Distance Education YouTube channel, and that has all the different teachers stuff, but only from this year. So if you're wondering, like, well, what's the difference? Why does it matter? So for instance, right now, we're right in the middle of Unit 3 on this course. But if you've worked ahead and you say you're doing stuff on Unit 4, I haven't gotten there yet, but I did do it last year. So you could go to last year's course, look online and see what it says. Now, there are a few tweaks between the years. There are things that are a little bit different, so you'd want to check for that. But if you're a little bit lost, it's definitely one way to see what I was intending for that assignment, okay? Okay, handing in work. If you need to take a photograph of an assignment, please make sure it's nice and crisp and clear so that I can read your writing. You also want your writing to be dark. Sometimes if people are writing with pencil especially, it can be so light that it's very hard for me to see what you've written, okay? So try to press hard with that pencil if you are. Once you've taken the picture, don't just share it with me, download it to your phone, save it, then write me an email and send it as an attachment. When you just try and share it directly, it doesn't really show up properly on a computer. That's really kind of meant to go to a phone, and it shows up kind of strangely. It's hard to print off. Whenever you send in work, please send it to studentwork@nnec.on.ca. You can include me in the email as well if you want to be doubly safe, jillian.percy@nnec.on.ca. When you do this, the secretary can log that you submitted the work, plus your work is then safely in our database. If it were to get lost, if the teacher were to change, if you don't finish this year and finish it next year, it's right there for people to pull up. So it's a much safer way to send it, okay? On your assignment, please write your full name, the course name, the assignment number, and the name. Not just in the file, but actually on the physical assignment, because I don't usually see the file. I just get the printout on my desk, okay? If an assignment asks you for a rough and a good draft or a revised draft, always label it right at the top so I know which one I'm marking. They often have different marking schemes or are worth a different amount of marks. I usually compare them. It's really important for me to know. If an assignment doesn't ask for a rough draft, then don't bother to send it in, even if you did do one. If there's some special reason why you're wanting me to see your rough draft, let me know, but then again, label it clearly so I'm not accidentally marking work that you've already made better, right? Okay, so we are in the middle of week 7, and we're right here on Wednesday. And like I said, doing 30, 31, and I think we're doing 32 tomorrow. I don't know if we're gonna get to 33 or not. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Today's work, we're gonna look at different types of business letters, understand the difference between block format and modified block format, look at different types of emails, understand what the criteria are for good business writing, and understand appropriate email writing techniques. And as mentioned before, this is the beginning of Unit 3. Here is the overview for it. Activity 1 has 4 different assignments, characteristics of a letter, emailing in the workplace, proposal analysis, and looking at operating instructions. And then activity 2 is where you're more doing the writing. There's letters, there's memos, and there's writing a report. I may add a couple of things here just because there's a few things that we are missing on media to meet the government criteria. Don't stress about that. If it isn't in your version, you don't need to worry about it. Let me think here. Oh, there's a culminating activity about researching and analyzing forms. And there's a little checklist at the end where you can go through to see that you've gotten everything. Okay, so the theme of this one is forms of communication and success in the workplace. In this third unit of your course, you'll have the opportunity to examine various forms of communication and the important role which each form plays in many types of workplaces. These forms include letters, memos, email messages, reports, and manuals. Also, oral communication will be focused upon including aspects of speaking and listening. The importance of body language will be examined as well. The culminating activity will be some research and analysis of samples of different written forms. Through a variety of practical exercises, you will gain a knowledge and understanding of these formats. Being able to plan for and compose these different formats, depending on the situation in a workplace, is important to ensure that you'll be able to do your part in helping to achieve your organization's goals. You're going to be learning about the different types of business letters, different formatting styles and purposes, structure and use of memos and emails, and 2 main types of reports. You'll also understand the importance of being able to read and follow oral and written instructions in the workplace and the use of visual aids. You should also be able to appreciate the importance of effective communication skills, speaking, listening, reading, viewing, and writing, especially as applied at work. And then in Unit 3, you'll be focusing on writing actual correspondence. Okay, so we are going to start with unit assignment number 3. We're going to be talking a whole lot about letters before I get to the actual assignment, but all of this is relevant to be able to do the assignment, just in case you're wondering why I'm taking a little bit of time. Okay, let me see here. You now have the opportunity to examine the specific forms of communication as indicated in the opening paragraph and complete assignments to demonstrate your understanding. Make sure to use good sentence and paragraph writing throughout, and of course, be careful with your spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Business letters. There are 3 basic purposes of workplace communication or correspondence: to inform, to request or persuade, and to build goodwill. There are a variety of business letters that you need to be aware of that can be written to address these purposes. Okay, so to inform. You can be letting employees know about health information or upcoming job changes. You could be updating clients or customers on upcoming news or business changes or events that might affect them. To request or to persuade. Request is just a fancy way of saying that you're asking for something. The business might be requesting that they help out by filling out a survey. It might be asking for a donation for a sports team or a fundraising. It could be trying to persuade customers to come in for a sale. Might be trying to persuade someone to come work with them. To build goodwill. This is usually a type of public relations campaign. It might be promoting a charity event the company supports. It might be letting clients know about community service projects that they're involved with. Okay. Oh, sorry, hang on a second there. Okay, so for business writing, effective business writing should meet 5 basic criteria. They usually call it the 5 C's. It should be clear. In other words, it's obvious what you want. Concise, so as short as possible, while still conveying what you want. Comprehensive, it covers everything needed. Complete and correct. The audience for any business letter must be identified, and the letter should be written accordingly, right? If you're writing a letter about a sale to your customers, it might be very different than the letter that you might be writing to your employees about getting ready for the sale. It might be very different than what you're writing to your boss about the results you're hoping to get from your sale, right? The audience may change a great deal what you're planning to say in that letter. Okay. This is kind of a breakdown about the 5 C's here. Okay, so clear. Clear just means that the point of the letter is very obvious. You never want to be obscure or ambiguous or poetic in your business writing. It should always be very straightforward. It's normally stated in the very first sentence of the letter, and it should be impossible for anyone to misunderstand, okay? Concise. The communication should be brief, to the point, no unnecessary words. Comprehensive. It should cover the topic completely. Nothing is left out that might be needed to understand the letter. Complete. It should have all the necessary parts, including any attachments or links. Like sometimes a letter might be about some sort of, manual or business proposal, and you need a link to the original. You're not going to include all of that in the letter, but you do want people to access it, even if they may have already received information from you on it. You don't want people to have to try and dig through 3,000 emails to find the original information, right? Correct. You want to make sure that all the information in your email is correct, including dates, names, phone numbers, contact information, no misinformation, and spellings are correct as well. People can get very irritated if you've spelled their name incorrectly. That can affect customers, but it can even affect your own employees. Okay. There is a really wide variety of letters that can be written for business situations. I'm kind of covering some of the most common ones. A really great internet resource to view some more if you want to is www.writing-business-letters.com. It's an awesome place to get some ideas for letters. Letter of apology. This is usually something you're writing in response to a customer service error. Letter of application. That's usually something someone's writing to a business for an advertised job. A follow-up letter for after an interview. A letter of acceptance when somebody formally accepts a job offer. A letter of complaint that a customer might write about a product or a poor service. A letter of resignation, like when you're quitting and moving to another job. A thank you letter could occur for typical business or personal situations. A letter of request to request information or ask a favor. A collection letter to ask a customer to pay for goods and or services that have been received and usually are overdue. As you can see, especially if you take a look at the website listed above, there is a letter to suit everyone's every need. There are 2 main formats for letters: block format and modified block format. Block format is probably the most common one. It uses all information in line with the left margin of the page. I'll show you what that means in a second. It is important not only to be aware of various letters, but that you understand letter formatting so that you can write your own and that they will look appropriately official. Okay, so here is the block format. And you can see here's the left-hand side and everything is lined up to this. It's not centered, it's not onto the right. So you would have the sender, your date, who you're sending it to, your greeting. Everything is lined up with this margin. Okay, so if I was doing that right now, if I was going to write something, I don't know if I can see it. I don't know if you can see it. It's very faint here. It says align left. That's what I would be hitting if I'm trying to do block format. This is modified block format. What is the main difference between the block format and the modified block format? Well, we just saw block format, every single thing is lined up on the left-hand side of the page. But in modified block format, not everything is. The addresses are lined up on the right-hand side. The date could be over on the right-hand side as well, or it might be centered like they've got it centered here. Most of the information will be on the left-hand side, but then the closing and the signature may be centered or kind of more over by the right as well, okay? Then when they've gone down here, these are kind of old-fashioned things. It talks about who's writing, who typed it, who enclosed it, those kind of things. I don't think you have to really worry about that. So this is called the modified block format. I feel like this was kind of used more in previous times. I feel like in modern days it's not being used as often, but you will see it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the different types of letters. So you've had a chance to see how they may sound, okay? And just kind of giving you a heads up, I've got a little bit of a cold. Try not to cough in everybody's ear here. So occasionally if I go blank, that's the reason why. I'm just kind of trying to cough off air and then taking a quick sip, and I will come back to you. So it's about to happen right now. All right. So this one says, "Dear customer, on behalf of XYZ Company, I am reaching out to apologize for the fact that your full order was not ready for pickup when you visited our location last week. I am aware that you called ahead to verify if your purchase was ready for pickup and can certainly understand the frustration of driving to the location only to find that a portion of your order was not yet available. I am so sorry for the inconvenience you experienced as a result of making a trip to our facility for an incomplete order. Our goal is to provide excellent service, and we will strive to ensure that you receive the rest of your order without further inconvenience. Once the back-ordered part of your order is received at the warehouse, we will deliver it to you so you don't have to make a second trip to our site. Once we receive the merchandise, a representative will contact you by phone or email to arrange a delivery time that is convenient for you. Again, I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. We appreciate and value your business. Thank you very much for letting us know about the situation. While we regret that the situation occurred, we are more than happy to have an opportunity to make sure that you receive the rest of your order without the further inconvenience of having to make a second trip. Please let me know if I can be of further assistance. My phone number is blah, 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 and my email address is somebody@emailaddress.com. At XYZ Company, we look forward to continuing to meet your needs for ABC products in the future." Letter of complaint. Dear, and you would actually like put the name of whoever you're talking to. This letter is to complain about a service I recently received from blank customer service representative named blah, blah, blah. I called the company on this date to find out how to deal with a problem I had with this product. And at this point, you would include what's the product number, what is the problem. After I'd been on hold for several minutes, representative came on the line. I had to explain my problem to him several times because he did not seem to be listening and therefore asked me the same questions repeatedly. Then talk about what you want to have happen, right? Do you want a refund? Do you want a new gadget of the same thing that broke? What are you wanting to have happen? Representative put me on hold for several minutes and then returned to say he could not help me. Needless to say, I was quite frustrated. I expected a much higher level of service from your company, and I am quite disappointed. Because I do not want to spend any more time on this problem, I am returning or canceling the product immediately and expect a full refund. Letter of resignation. So up top is where you'd put your name, then the date, then whoever you're writing the letter to. Dear Mr. Killington, I am writing to announce my resignation from the ABC Company effective 2 weeks from this date. My last day will be April 29th, 2022. This was not an easy decision to make. The past 10 years have been very rewarding. I've enjoyed working for you and managing a very successful team dedicated to a quality product delivered on time. Thank you for the opportunities for growth that you have provided me. I wish you and the company all the best. If I can be of any help during the transition, please don't hesitate to ask. And then you'd write a signature and then your name printed. Letter of collection. Dear so-and-so, this is a kind reminder that your account is overdue. According to our current records, your outstanding balance is $100. We have sent you a detailed mail of your account statements. If you've not yet received these email messages and documents, here is a summary of your account. Invoice number 12345, Invoice date 19/02/2018. Amount 100. Due date 01/01/2018. Days past due 49 days. We will be delighted if you inform us of the status of this payment. Kindly contact us or send your payment of $100 to the address provided below by February 19th, 2018, if you have not yet done so. Attention Accounting Department. If there are any errors to this invoice or you are unable to pay now, please contact me so that we can make the necessary changes or arrange for a different payment plan. Thank you for your quick response to this request. Okay, so let's talk about emails now for a little bit. Electronic mails was once considered to be the most popular feature on a computer. Now it's considered to be Facebook. Although email does not, for most people, hold the same aesthetic. In other words, it's not as beautiful as a handwritten letter by post. It does have a lot of advantages over conventional mail. It's much faster, obviously, and it's cheaper, especially in the case of international communication. It's also possible to send the same message instantly to a group of people, which can be useful if, for example, you wish to ask a number of people the same question. A particularly useful function is the attachment, which enables you to fix a word processing file to an email. Not surprisingly, email is the standard mode of communication among those online, and email addresses are often found on home pages, whereas normal addresses may not be. And these email addresses enable you to communicate with the creators of a website to assess their credibility, react to the site content, or request further information. The following information will be some suggestions to keep in mind when you are planning to write email messages. Number 1, use email for short, simple communications. If your reader has to scroll down the screen, your message is too long, be concise and come to the point right away. Reading on screen is hard on the eyes. Number 2, think before you send a message. Once it leaves your computer, intentionally or not, it has gone. Don't write an email message while you're upset. Calm down before you begin writing. Don't write anything that you would not want someone else to read or that you would not want everyone to read, right? Emails are about as private as a postcard, so treat them as such. Remember that erasing a message does not mean that it's gone. It can sit on a company or business server for years, even after it doesn't show up in your email box anymore. Number 3, use correct language, spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Remember that a reader can judge your writing, even if you think of email as an informal way to communicate. Note, to avoid spelling and punctuation errors, consider writing your message in a word processing program and then transferring it to your email program. Word processing programs have a more efficient editing function. You will then have the opportunity to write and send some email messages during the course. I know that email programs normally have a spell check as well, but I do find it doesn't work quite as well as a normal one. Okay, here is a sample email written to Persuade to Amanda Atkinson at email.com from foreverunique@email.com. Subject, 20% off just for you. Dear Amanda Atkinson, thank you for signing up for Forever Unique's mailing list. We can't wait to update you with all our upcoming promotions and product launches. For now, we want to offer you a 20% discount to spend on anything online or in-store. This offer expires on August 29th, 2022, so get shopping. Sincerely, Forever Unique Clothing. Here's an example of an email request. The subject is the River Build Project Update. Dear Mr. Calder, my name is Susan Bell, and I am the new project manager at Grayson Contractors. I am writing to request an update on the latest river build project. As we move forward with the design, my team would like to see the latest drawings before we schedule a financing meeting. Once we have that, we can begin discussing a timeline and budget options. Here at Grayson, we have completed over 62 builds successfully in this area, and we would love an opportunity to build your design. If you could please send me the latest drawings and blueprints, At your earliest convenience, we can begin discussing the remaining details. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Susan Bell. Okay, so goodwill letters. When I was initially looking this up, I found it was kind of interesting because there's actually two different meanings. And if you're looking them up, often people will be talking about one kind and completely unaware that there is the other kind. So I wanted to address this issue because you might find it as confusing as I did. One is a letter written to a collection company requesting forgiveness of a debt. Okay. I had never heard of that type of goodwill letter before. I didn't know that's what it was called. And it's not really the kind that we're talking about here. Or any email that's designed to foster goodwill towards the company without necessarily selling anything. In other words, you're trying to make the company look good and help people to have positive feelings towards the company without necessarily like offering a sale. Okay. So here is an example of a goodwill email where the company's just trying to connect to the client, wishing them happy birthday. Here, the team and I wish you a very happy birthday. Or by announcing company involvement with a local community service project. You'll see this kind of thing all the time, right? City of Haines, Emerging Youth Advisory Council, Community Service Project, Haines City Boys and Girls Club. Join us in giving back. Invite you to join together in a community service project at the Boys and Girls Club for facility improvements. So this is the kind of thing where a business may be involved in helping a specific service group, and they're showing you that they're involved and that they're giving back to the community to try and foster, again, good feelings towards them. Okay, so this is the other type where they're talking about debt, just in case you're interested in seeing this type. So for example, to Redline Debt Collections from Susan Brownville, subject late payment. Thank you for taking the time to read this letter. I recently noticed that my credit report contains a late payment reported on, and then you give the date, from and you name who you owe the money to. I am fully aware that I had financial obligations to you, unfortunately due to, and you'd give a reason that you missed the payment. Hopefully a good one, like you were sick in the hospital or something, right? I made a mistake in falling behind. If not for this, I would have an excellent payment record since then, and then you would explain how things have improved or changed. As a result, I have continued to make payments on time. I'm now planning to apply for a mortgage, not a loan, whatever it is, but the missed payment on my record could hurt my ability to qualify for the best rates. I take pride in my ability to pay back my debts, and this one black mark does not reflect my credit worthiness. It would help me immensely if you could make a goodwill adjustment to remove the late payment from my record, as it does not reflect my current ability to pay. I'm hoping that you're willing to give me a second chance at a positive credit rating, given my financial status and renewed good standing with my account. Thank you for your time and any consideration you give to my situation. Okay. We have now finally moved on to the actual assignment. Assignment 30, we're going to give a sample letter and we're going to read it and then analyze it. There's going to be several different tasks that you do in relationship to this letter, including writing and sending an email message. That's why we're kind of talking about both at once here. Okay, so here is the example. General delivery, Sachico Lake, Ontario, POV 2PO, June 15th, 2022. Mr. George Fair Sport Check, 320 Superior Avenue, Thunder Bay, Ontario, P7A 593. Dear Mr. Fair, I am returning the hockey sweater you sent me on June 1st for an exchange or refund. Not only does it have the wrong team logo, but as you can see, it fell apart after only one wearing. On May 8th, I ordered an Ottawa Senators hockey sweater for my son through your winter and spring catalog. The sweater that arrived 2 weeks later was a Toronto Maple Leafs sweater. Although my son was very disappointed, I am willing to overlook the mistake and keep the sweater. Unfortunately, my son wore the jersey once outside to show his friends, and the next day the material had come apart almost completely. We have never had any problems with the sweaters we have purchased from your company in the past, so I am sure this is an isolated case. Please replace the sweater that I am sending in this package. I have enclosed the bill I received from you. I would appreciate it if you could send an Ottawa Senator's sweater as quickly as possible. If you do not have any in stock, please refund my money since we are not interested in receiving another Maple Leaf sweater. Thank you for your swift attention to this matter. My son looks forward to receiving his new sweater. Okay. Part A, what kind of letter is this? So we looked at a lot of different types of letters. What is the main purpose of this letter? B, is this letter written in block format or modified block format, and how can you tell? C, rewrite Lori's letter as a memo that could instead be sent to Mr. Fair. You can use the following format. This is worth 6 marks. So here it says, to Mr. George Fair from Lori Hopeful. I'm going to put the date down here. Date, subject, and then you would write the message, okay? So I wanted to talk about how to transform a letter into an email. I find that students generally make 3 main possible mistakes with this assignment. 1, they just copy the entire letter word for word. Generally, emails are fairly short. It's not really appropriate for them to be as long as a letter in most instances. Number 2, sometimes they include a few things from the letter, but not all the main points, and so not all the information is being conveyed. And third, and I don't quite get this one, but sometimes people make up an entirely new email and don't look at the original letter at all. Please don't do that. Okay, so to be successful with this, what should you do instead? Prioritize. Look back at the letter and think about what are the crucial points in the letter that should be included. Call to action. What is the writer hoping that the company will do? You want to be very straightforward. Okay. Details. What are the important details about the product that must be met or known by the company in order for them to be able to honor your call to action? D, send an email message to your teacher stating how you feel about Lori's letter. So this is that letter, okay? Same letter. This is all about the letter. Do you agree with her decision to write Mr. Fair a letter to express her thoughts? Does it have an advantage over a phone call? Why or why not? This is worth 10 marks. The reason why you're doing this is A, they want to give you practice writing emails. 2, we want to give you practice stating your opinion on things, okay? There's 2 main concepts you have to address in your email. First, what is your opinion on Lori's letter? Does it make sense? Is it reasonable? Is it well written and well argued? Number 2, do you think a letter is a better form of communication than a phone call for this purpose? Explain your answer. Why do you think one format is better than the other in order to accomplish the purpose she's trying to achieve? So this is worth 10 marks. So I am really expecting at least 5 to 8 good sentences here explaining your ideas. Okay, if you only write me a sentence or 2, you're only going to get 2 or 3 marks, which means you're not going to pass that particular assignment. Okay. Things to think about when you're talking about your opinion. Was her complaint an appropriate complaint? Like, would most people be upset by that? Was her requested solution realistic? Is it the kind of thing a business will do? Is a letter more or less effective than the phone call in your opinion? And what are some reasons you think that? Again, remember to have at least 5 sentences. Use an appropriate greeting, dear Jillian, and then you explain your ideas. And use an appropriate closing. Yours regards, sincerely. When you're writing the email, please send it to both the addresses at once. jillian.percy@nnec.on.ca and studentwork@nnec.on.ca, okay? In the subject line, oh, I thought I had fixed this already. English 4E, K30, Part D. And I would say my opinion, and then I would put your name, okay? So I know who this is. Again, because this is liable to get printed off, okay? So I'll be seeing the print off. Okay. Moving on to assignment 31. Emailing in the workplace. The following profile or news article illustrates the fact that emailing is an important communication channel that requires time and effort. Its use in many types of workplaces is now commonplace, and you will understand the significance of good emailing practices after having read this profile. Based on the profile, you will complete the items which follow. Okay. So, this is Tara Lynn Hughes. She works at TD Canada Trust, and it's a profile kind of about her and her sort of trying to convey some information about emails. It says here, it's important to make a good email impression. Sometimes people don't approach emails as professionally as they would a face-to-face presentation or conversation with someone. But email is an important communication channel that requires time and effort, said Tara Lynn Hughes, Internal Communications Manager for TD Canada Trust. If you take the time to order your thoughts, rather than just dumping a long stream of consciousness document into a colleague's mailbox, you will be showing your personal effectiveness as a communicator while also supporting an effective corporate communications environment. The language that you choose can add or detract from the power of your message. I can't stress enough the importance of using concise, jargon-free language in business emails, Tara Lynn continues. Write in plain English. For example, a simple word like use works much better than a more contrived one, such as utilize. She also cautions against funny acronyms, exclamation marks, and writing all in caps, which implies that someone is screaming at you. All of these things are very off-putting. If you use them, there's a danger that things will get misinterpreted or people just won't pay attention to your message. To ensure this doesn't happen, Tara Lynn and her communications group have developed email templates for TD Canada Trust employees to follow. These templates are made up of 3 sections. The first is a subject line, she explains. There are 3 options for classifying your email. This helps the reader prioritize the mail in their inbox. The FYI for your information template is used for non-critical or like not super important information that employees need to know. ACT or action required is used when employees need to know about something that affects how they do their jobs. And finally, the urgent action required, is used sparingly to communicate critical information that requires immediate action. The second section of the FYI ACT ERG template is what Tara Lynn calls the summary section. Okay. To write an effective summary, you should ask yourself about what is new or different, and why would employees want or need to know the information you have to share. If you're using an ACT or an URGE template, you would complete the action section, which states what your reader needs to do. For example, review the attached report, Complete the project status update column and return to Joe Smith by October 15th. A whom to contact for more information section tells the reader how to get more details or where to direct any questions. The third section includes more detailed information if necessary. Even with this opportunity to elaborate on the particulars, Terry Lynn advises keeping an email message short. Anything over 3 screens is too long, she says. Online, you've got about 10 to 15 seconds to catch someone's attention. Emails work particularly well as a heads-up form of communication. They provide a concise summary and then redirect people to where the more detailed information is. Perfecting the art of the summary can also come in handy when dealing with emails that get forwarded from person to person. If you come in on an issue halfway through and there's no summary up the top, you won't have any context. And often when a text is forwarded on, important information gets lost. Summarizing the conversation before sending the email off again is not only a courtesy, but a must. Sometimes sending an email is inappropriate. The more complex an issue and the more sensitivities that surround it, says Tara Lynn, the better it is to just pick up the phone or go directly to the source. Email, on the other hand, can be a timely solution for circulating documents as well as for quickly reaching large groups of employees, something Terry Lynn often has to do. But she warns, if the messages you send out to such large audiences are not crisp, concise, and well organized, you risk being inundated by questions in response to your email. Put yourself in your reader's shoes before you send your communication. Okay. Why does she think it's important to make a good email impression? Respond in at least 2 sentences. So when they're saying that, give me at least 2 reasons for why she thinks it's important. B, list 3 acronyms used when emailing and what they stand for. So for example, NHL and CBC are examples of acronyms, not in this letter, but NHL stands for National Hockey League, CBC equals Canadian Broadcasting Company. She talks about 3 different acronyms. What are those acronyms and what do they stand for? In at least 3 sentences, tell what advice is given in order to create effective email messages. Now, I wanted to point out, occasionally I have people tell me their own ideas here, and while in some cases that would be what I'm looking for, in this case, I only want to know what she said, okay? Only what Tara said was the best way to create effective email messages. So if you write me something and it's all really good, but it's not what Tara said, you're not going to get the marks that you deserve. Okay, so make sure you're saying what Tara said. Send an email message to your teacher briefly describing the job you have now or that you're hoping to have in the near future. Is emailing something that you're doing presently at work or that you might be doing in a possible upcoming job? Your email message will be a short paragraph consisting of at least 5 sentences. This is 10 marks, okay? If you are in a situation where you do not have access to the internet, just write your email on paper and send it to me the same way you send your regular assignments, okay? But please do remember to follow the email format, which needs to include an email address you're sending to and a subject line. You don't have to worry about the CC or BB, although we actually do end up using the CC. I'll show you. They don't necessarily get used all the time. You can send these both in the these email addresses both in the to line, or you could put this one in the to line and this one in the CC. Okay. You want to send it to jillian.percy@nec.on.ca and the student work. Okay. ENG 4E, K30, oh, 31. Part D, my job. Oh, sorry. Where is this? So, okay, so here's an example. I put to, I put CC, I put my subject, and then I explain using at least 5 sentences whether I use emails right now. In my current job as a cashier, my job duties include ringing up purchases, handling point of sale transactions, balancing my till, stocking the area around my till, and handling customer complaints. I do not do a lot of emailing. My boss reaches me through phone or text instead. I am planning to go back to school for office administration so I could get work as a receptionist or admin assistant. If I get an office job, I imagine I will do a lot more with emails. Hopefully, what I am learning here will be helpful in that future job. Obviously, yours will not copy mine exactly, but this is one of those items that I found people were having trouble with. So I'm giving you a sample so you have an idea of what I'm meaning. All right, we are finished class for today. Tomorrow is the last class for the week. Hopefully you have a good night, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.